Are you planning a trip to London in 2025? In this episode, I'm sharing 12 essential tips to help you make the most of your visit to one of London's most iconic cities, from insider advice on creating the perfect itinerary to navigating public transport and exploring beyond the famous landmarks. This episode is packed with practical guidance and inspiration. Stay tuned for episode 132 of the UK Travel Planning Podcast to learn how to plan your London adventure with confidence and ease.
Welcome to the UK Travel Planning Podcast. Your host is the founder of the UK Travel Planning website, Tracy Collins. In this podcast, Tracy shares destination guides, travel tips, and itinerary ideas, as well as interviews with a variety of guests who share their knowledge and experience of UK travel to help you plan your perfect UK vacation. Join us as we explore the UK from cosmopolitan cities to quaint villages, from historic castles to beautiful islands, and from the picturesque countryside to seaside towns.
Welcome to episode 132 of the UK Travel Planning Podcast. I'm Tracy Collins, and in today's episode, I'm thrilled to share 12 essential tips for planning your trip to London in 2025. Now, having lived in London and recently spent several months based there, I've had the chance to experience this amazing city, not only as a resident, but also as a tourist. Now, while I can't claim to be a local in the traditional sense, my perspective blends the expertise of someone who knows the city inside and out with the curiosity and insight of a traveller seeking out the best experiences. So London is a city like no other, vibrant, historic, diverse, and endlessly fascinating. Whether it's your first time visiting or you're returning to explore more, these tips, along with extensive resources on the website, London Travel Planning, and our podcast, will give you the confidence to plan your trip and truly enjoy all this incredible destination has to offer. So let's dive straight in and start going through each of the 12 tips. So my first tip is to start with a well-organized itinerary. It's the best way, really, to start by creating a clear, well-structured itinerary. It's no surprise that many visitors feel overwhelmed, and you may be listening to this podcast right now and you are feeling overwhelmed by the sheer number of attractions, events, and activities available in really one of the world's most iconic cities. The good news is that with a bit of preparation, you can remove the overwhelm and craft a trip that will suit your travel style and interests. So first of all, decide what time of year you want to visit London. I know for some of you, it may be pre-decided depending on your vacation, but if you do have some flexibility, it is worth considering when you want to visit London. And often, I know we talk to lots of people, and there's loads of people in our Facebook group who will say they visited in spring, they visited in summer, and then they've seen the recent pictures of me in London during the festive season, and now they desperately want to go during the festive season to visit London, which, to be honest, is amazing. I do love it. But each season offers a different and a very unique experience. So spring obviously there's just the gorgeous blooms in the parks and gardens. In summer, you get the lovely long days, which are perfect for sightseeing. Autumn can be pretty mild, and you obviously get the beautiful trees change in colour. It's really gorgeous. And then in winter, it just transforms London into a festive wonderland with Christmas lights and markets. So if flexibility is an option, consider shoulder seasons as well for fewer crowds and better prices. So obviously, certain times of year, it is more expensive to stay in London. It's busier in London. I've literally just been in London for the last few weeks. I'm recording this at the beginning of December, and it was starting to get crazy busy, and it is an expensive time to go to London. But oh my goodness, it is magical. Summer, again, very busy because a lot of people from all over the world are determined they want to visit London during their school holidays, which I get. And the school holidays in the UK are August, end of July into August. So obviously you're going to get a lot of British people as well who want to go to London on holiday. So once you've decided when you want to go, next determine how long you want to stay in London itself. Now, while it's tempting to try and cram everything into a short visit, ideally, you want to plan for at least 3 days to see the highlights, but if you can, allow 5 to 7, which give you a deeper dive into some of London's vibrant neighbourhoods and attractions. Obviously, if you're just going to visit London, you may have up to a week or 2 weeks to spend a time in London. And I will kind of mention some ideas if you are in London for that length of time as well. But once you've got your date set and trip duration, really need to start thinking about your daily activities. So if you have a look on our London Travel Planner website, we've got a London Travel Planner, which is a great resource to help you get started, as it breaks down the planning process into manageable steps and will help you shape the perfect itinerary for your travel style and needs. Now, be realistic about what you can achieve in a day. And I have to remind myself of this all the time because I try to fit so much in when I'm in London. London is a huge, sprawling city, and it's easy to underestimate travel times between attractions. So best advice, group activities by area and maximize your time and reduce traveling around the city. For example, dedicate a day to explore Westminster so you can see Big Ben, Westminster Abbey, Churchill War Rooms. Another day you may want to spend it in South Kensington, so you've got the museums down there. You've got Natural History Museum, Victoria and Albert, my favourite. As everybody if you're listening, you'll know. V&A absolutely is my favourite museum in London. I always go there. Anyway, enough about me. And Kensington Gardens, all down in South Kensington. So you've got loads of different, there's just so much to see. So what we have done recently on the London Travel Planner website is we have written guides for each area of London. So do take a look at those. So if you're going to be in Covent Garden, you can find out what to do and see. If you're going to go to Piccadilly, you can find out what to do and see. If you're going to be in South Bank, you can find out what to do and see, and where to stay as well in each of these areas. So if you're unsure where to start, we do have some sample itineraries on the website. So we've got 1 day, 2 day, 3 day and 5 day itineraries. So have a look at those to give yourself some ideas. And finally, don't forget to leave room for flexibility and spontaneity, because some of the best memories come from unplanned moments. Like, you find a quaint cafe, or, find a hidden park, or you meet a friendly local in a cafe and you start having a chat. And if you need tailored advice to bring your itinerary together, you can book a London itinerary consult with myself and Doug, and we can help you fine-tune your plans, answer logistical questions. We can even provide personalised recommendations to make your London adventure truly memorable. Remember, a well-thought-out itinerary is your foundation for a stress-free and enjoyable trip to London. With the right tools and resources, like those available on our website, you'll be ready to explore this incredible city with confidence and ease. So tip number 2 is to book key attractions, accommodation and experiences in advance. So now London is such a popular global destination. That means that many of its iconic attractions and accommodations and dining experiences book out quickly. So you need to plan ahead. It's really important to plan ahead to avoid disappointment and make the most of your time. If there's something in particular you really want to do, really need to think ahead. Do you need to get that booked? So for accommodation, especially during peak times like summer or December, early booking really will ensure that you have access to the best locations and prices. So whether you're dreaming of a luxury stay at the Ritz, I wish, or seeking a budget-friendly option near Covent Garden, really securing your spot in advance will make all the difference. Now, for attractions, iconic experiences like going to Buckingham Palace staterooms, visiting Harry Potter studios, they can get booked up months in advance. Seriously, months in advance. Popular landmarks like Westminster Abbey, Tower of London, St. Paul's Cathedral are also best kind of working out what day you want to go, going early on in the day, getting tickets beforehand, especially if it's a busy time like school holidays, is really worth doing. I honestly would recommend booking a tour where you skip the line as well, skip the line tickets. I don't know about you, but I don't want to spend my precious holiday time standing in a great big long line. Again, theatre tickets for West End shows and high demand dining experiences, including traditional afternoon teas, like again at the Ritz. Honestly, I think I should be invited for afternoon tea at the Ritz, because honestly, it's on top of my bucket list. But if you want to do those sort of things, you need to book in advance. But again, I book a lot of my tours in London and buy tickets through Get Your Guide, because there's some flexibility if you want to cancel. So that's something that I do. I find that's useful. If I want to change things around, quite a lot of the things you can cancel up to 24 hours before. So it just gives you some flexibility. If you're planning day trips or using the train network, remember that train tickets are often cheaper when booked a little bit early. And it's especially true for longer journeys. For example, if you're going to go from London to Edinburgh or some of the other popular routes, because booking early will make, generally you will get a cheaper ticket. Now, again, if you're feeling overwhelmed, I will say that we have a London itinerary consultation here. We can help you navigate the process, offering you tailored advice and recommendations. But do check out on the website, we have got an article about how far ahead should you book for London. So do check out that article. As I always say, with just a little bit of early planning, you will have a more smooth and stress-free trip to London. Not saying that you can't do things last minute, but we do hear often that people miss out on the things that they really want to see because they get booked up. Even things like places like the Sky Garden, which is free, you will need to get on when that opens, which is generally the Monday 2 weeks before they open the bookings. You need to get it booked because for popular times, sort of between 4 and 6, they will get booked up. Those slots will go. So it's worth doing. Tip number 3 is to choose the right neighbourhood to stay in. So London is a huge city, as I've said, with many unique neighbourhoods, which each offer something different. So choosing the right place to stay is key to enhance your experience and make the most of your time in your city. So as someone who's lived in London and I frequently return to explore as a visitor, I know how overwhelming this decision can feel. And actually, it's often the question that we get asked so often: where should I stay in London? Where is it safe to stay in London? So we have created guides to help you decide where to stay in London. So we literally have a guide to each of the different areas. We will say which person, depending on your interests, which is the best area for you to stay in. As someone who's lived in London and frequently returns to explore as a visitor, I know how overwhelming this decision can be. And this is the question that we get asked: where should I stay in London? So we've created guides to help you decide where to stay based on your travel style, preferences and budget. So whether it's your first or your 10th visit, honestly, these tips will steer you in the right direction. So when selecting your neighbourhood, think about what kind of experience you want. Are you focused on sightseeing or want to be close to iconic attractions? Covent Garden is a fantastic choice for its central location, great transport links and vibrant atmosphere. Or you're travelling with kids? Kensington and its family-friendly vibe, new museums like the Natural History Museum is ideal. Are you looking for more of a luxurious experience? Well, Mayfair offers elegant, high-end experiences. Do you want something a bit more off the beaten path? Somewhere like Shoreditch for its street art, food scene, and eclectic vibe might suit you more. So, the beauty of London is its connectivity, because there's excellent public transport, so you can easily get around from almost any area. So whether you're staying in Bloomsbury, near the British Museum, or in the City of London for its historical charm, you're really well positioned to explore. So our pro tips for this is really consider paying a bit more to stay central, especially if it's your first visit, because this will save you travel time and honestly make your trip more enjoyable. Really, we often get asked to have a look at accommodation options and they're further out. And honestly, the time that you're going to spend getting in and out on the tube, and believe me, at rush hour, being on the tube is not particularly pleasant. It can get very, very busy. And also after a long day when you've been kind of walking around, you're just getting onto the tube or getting on a bus and then having to have another walk back to your accommodation, believe me, is not fun. If you're visiting during the holidays or for a special event, book accommodation well in advance to secure your spot. And for a range of options, including hotels, serviced apartments and unique stays, honestly, check out our London area and accommodation guide, which I will link to in the show notes. So your accommodation is going to be your base. So choosing the right neighbourhood will set, honestly, the tone for your London adventure. So honestly, have a look at our resources and let them help you find the perfect stay for you so that you have a memorable trip. Tip number 4 is to master London's public transport system. So getting around London is straightforward once you understand the city's excellent public transport system, and it really is good. You've got options like the Underground, the Tube, buses, and even Uber boats on the Thames, and you'll find it easy to travel between attractions, neighbourhoods and beyond. And obviously there is London Black Cabs, there is Uber in London, so you have options to get around. Now, we're talking about public transport. One of the first decisions you'll need to make is how to pay for your travel. So the two most popular options are contactless payment or the Oyster card, both of which have their pros and cons. Now, we've broken these down in detail in an article, Contactless versus Oyster card, to help you decide which option is best for your needs. Now, spoiler alert, there is no right or wrong choice. Honestly, this is one of the most emotive questions that comes up in the Facebook group. Honestly, there is no right or wrong choice. Whichever you go for, you'll benefit from the same daily and weekly fare caps, making travel affordable and hassle-free. You just need to have a look and decide which option is the best for you. So have a look at our article and decide which one you want to do. Because honestly, pros and cons, and it's some contactless will suit some people, having an Oyster card will suit others. It's a very personal choice. Now, for step-by-step guides to use in London's transport options, just check out the website, because we have guides to using the tube, we have guides to navigating London buses, and we have guides to using Uber boats for that scenic journey down the Thames. So our tips for this, for travelling around London by public transport, is download the TfL Go app. Doug swears by this, and I use this when I'm in London. It's an official app. It provides real-time updates on the train, bus and tube schedules, and really it's invaluable, especially if there's any delays or disruptions, because you will find out on that app. So plan your journey. I always do that. I always check before I'm going in the morning which tube am I going to take, or which bus I'm going to take. So I use Google Maps, or City Mapper will give you the detailed directions and your travel times. If you can, avoid peak times. Rush hour, 7 to 9 a.m, 5 to 7 p.m. And honestly, it can get very busy. There were some trains that I took recently when I was in London where it was very crammed. I get a little bit claustrophobic, so I try to stay at the end of the tube trains if possible and avoid it when it looks like there's too many people on there. But just be aware of that those are the peak times when it will be busy. When using the tube, listen out for an announcement and watch your step when boarding or exiting trains. You'll see, mind the gap. You'll hear, mind the gap. And there's a reason for that, because sometimes there's quite a big gap between getting off the tube and on the tube, depending on what tube station you're at. But really, if you master London's public transport system, you'll save time, money and energy, and it'll help you make the most of your visit. Whether you're taking a tube ride, a bus journey, or taking a leisurely trip along the Thames, navigating London like a local really adds to the adventure. And often we will be told it is just so much easier than people expected. So tip number 5 is explore London's free attractions. So London's many free attractions make it easy to stick to a budget while enjoying a world-class experience. And London is not a cheap city by any means. So it's wonderful to know that there are so many free attractions that you can go to. So a lot of the museums in London are free. The British Museum, the Natural History Museum, the Science Museum, the V&A Museum. Brilliant museums. A lot of the art galleries are free. The Tate Modern is free. The National Gallery, National Portrait Gallery, all free. Parks, obviously the parks are free, and there's some wonderful, wonderful parks to go to in London. My personal favourite is Greenwich Park. I love Greenwich anyway, but you get some fantastic city views from Greenwich Park. So they're all free. Now we have an entire article, which I think is the 39 best free things to do in London, which is on the website. Again, I'll link to that. So do check that out. Incorporate some free activities in your itinerary. Save a bit of money. Tip number 6 is to experience some of the seasonal highlights of London, which I kind of alluded to earlier when I talked about what season to visit. But one of the joys of visiting London is that every season brings its own unique experiences. Really, it makes it a year-round destination. You know, from springtime, we got the beautiful flowers to the festive winter markets. London's calendar is brimming with exciting events and activities. Honestly, no matter when you visit. In spring, you've got the Chelsea Flower Show. You could celebrate St. Patrick's Day. In summer, there's Wimbledon. You've got the BBC Proms. There's just so much. You've got outdoor cinemas. In autumn, you can go to the beautiful parks and you see the leaves turn vibrant shades of orange and red. I mean, just gorgeous. Bonfire night, Guy Fawkes night on the 5th of November. You'll see firework displays across the city. In winter, you've got Christmas in London, all the Christmas lights, honestly gorgeous. You have seasonal performances, you've got different ballets, you've got pantomimes, and of course, New Year's Eve, the end of the year, ends with the fireworks over the Thames. You will need tickets for that. But wow, there's just something on all the time in London. So for a full list of events and activities by season, or the main events and activities, I cannot list everything, you can check out our guides to visit in London. We have got seasonal guides, and we also have month-by-month guides. So visiting London in January, visiting London in May, visiting London in September. So we have all those guides on the website, and they've got information about key events, what the weather will be like, what to pack, insider tips, basically to help you align your itinerary with what London has to offer. So you can check out, you visit in September, check out article, things to do in London in September, and you'll get an idea of everything you need to know for that month. Tip number 7 is to take a day trip from London. So I mentioned it in last week's episode. We highly recommend adding a day trip or two to your London itinerary. London is not only an incredible city to explore, but it's also, honestly, a fantastic base for venturing into nearby destinations that showcase England's charm, history, and natural beauty, and really a sport for choice. So whether you're fascinated by royal history, academic excellence, or scenic seaside escape, there's a day trip from London that's perfect for you, or two. A few favourites for us include Windsor, where you can explore, iconic Windsor Castle. Who doesn't want to go to Windsor? Bath, renowned for its Roman baths and Georgian architecture. I was there last week, actually, at their Christmas market. Cambridge, which is one, I have to say, is absolutely one of my favourite day trips. You've got the stunning colleges, the beautiful riverside. I love punting down the River Cam. And then you go to Canterbury, because you've got the cathedral and medieval streets. But there's so many places to choose from. Now, if a private tour or group tour is more your style, we also have a number of preferred partners who can whisk you from the capital to your chosen day trip destination. And these tours will offer a hassle-free way to explore, with expert guides providing fascinating insights along the way. So you can find detailed guides on how to get to these destinations by train or with some tour guide recommendations, plus more on the website. And also, if you tune into episodes 96 and 97 of the UK Travel Planner podcast, this podcast, we dive deeper into the best day trips from London by train. So whether you're looking for that relaxing escape to get out of the city or you want cultural experiences, honestly, these resources will help you make the most of your time beyond the capital. So do take a look. Tip number 8 is to explore beyond the icons. So while landmarks like Big Ben and the London Eye are iconic must-sees, you're not going to miss them. The true charm of London lies in its diverse and character-filled neighbourhoods. And I know I've just said the London Eye, and I know there's some people are going to be going, well, that's not it. It has been there since 2000. It was built for the millennium. And I personally love the London Eye. I love going on the London Eye, and I love seeing the London Eye. And if London is not a city, London is a city where it's constantly evolving, and you have the modern and the old next to each other, and that's absolutely fine. And that's something that I love about London. But you can step off the beaten path because there are hidden gems, that will showcase the city's culture and history in different ways. So I recommend, these are some of my Are you planning your dream UK trip but feeling a little overwhelmed? Maybe you started putting together an itinerary but need help fine-tuning it, or you have questions about how to get around by car or by train. Perhaps you'd love to chat with experienced UK travellers to ensure you make the most of your time. Well, we've got you covered. Doug and I are excited to announce that our one-to-one UK trip consultations are now open for bookings for January 2025. During these personalised sessions, we'll work with you to refine your itinerary and maximise your time, answer your questions about packing, transport, logistics, etc., suggest tours, activities, and day trips tailored to your interests, and share tips and practical advice to make your trip unforgettable. After your session, we'll send you a personalised Google Sheet within 3 days with all the recommendations and tips discussed during our call. Now, if you're ready to plan your UK adventure with confidence, book your consultation today. Spots are limited, so don't wait. Head to our website at uktravelplanning.com to secure your session. We can't wait to help you plan the perfect UK trip. Hidden gems that I recommend that you go. Greenwich. It's known for its maritime history. You can visit the Cutty Sark, the Royal Observatory, and enjoy it's the riverside atmosphere. I just love Greenwich. Honestly, you really, if you have enough time, you have to include Greenwich in your itinerary. Also, East End, which is, East End, there's incredible street art, bustling markets. Then you find a fascinating blend of cultures if you head to the East End. There's just lots and lots of amazing hidden gems to go and see in London, from secret gardens to tucked away museums. If you check out our article to Hidden Gems in London, you'll find out lots of the different lesser known treasures across the city. And exploring these unique spots will add a layer of depth to your trip and provides a glimpse into the local side of London that many visitors might miss. So check out also our neighbourhood guides as well, because they may inspire you to venture beyond the usual tourist trail and discover the city's many hidden wonders. Also, we work with one of our preferred partners is Discover Real London Black Cab Tours, and they have an excellent, I think it's kind of like the second tour that they do often when people visit in London, which will show you more of the hidden gems of the city. So if you've already done a trip and you're aware, you've already been to Big Ben, House of Parliament, Tower of London, Buckingham Palace, and you want to see beyond the kind of those main icons, then doing a secret London hidden gem tour with Discover Real London would be an excellent option. Now, tip number 9. Learn London etiquette. Okay, so London has its own set of unspoken rules and social norms, and understanding them will honestly make your visit much smoother and more enjoyable, because if you follow these customs, you'll blend in seamlessly with the locals and you'll be able to navigate the city, and you won't annoy some of the locals as well. And I have to remind myself as well when I'm in London for these things. So quick one, main one I'm going to say, on the escalators in the tube, stand on the right-hand side. You will find that people will be using the left-hand side to go down or up quickly. And if people are rushing to get a tube, they will go on the left-hand side. So if you block that left-hand side, especially during busy times, you will really frustrate commuters and annoy them. So that is a big no-no. Stay on the right. Do not stand on the left on the escalators. Now, queuing, we all take it. We're British, and Londoners, obviously British, take queuing seriously. So whether you're waiting for a bus, you go to an attraction, grabbing a coffee, always join the line and wait your turn. Really, jumping the queue is considered extremely rude. And I know I mentioned it again in last year's episode. Really, you'll just get the stare. So please don't jump the queue. So on public transport, it's important to keep conversations to a minimum and a low volume. You'll notice that there's not a lot of conversation goes on in the tube, not a lot of eye contact either. During peak hours, just be mindful of personal space as well. Like keep bags off seat and out of aisles, and just make sure that everybody can travel around comfortably. Make sure when you're boarding a train or a tube, let people off before you get on. And often the guys will be shouting out saying, like, please move along the tube train as well to let people on. Well, just quick one about tipping. Tipping isn't such a big deal in the UK. It's not a massive expectation. Some places they won't expect you to tip, like in a bar. Most restaurants will add a 10 to 12.5% service charge to your bill. So check before tipping any additional amount, because it already may be included. If the service charge isn't included, leaving 10% really is customary, but tipping's not expected in pubs. But if you're in a taxi or cab, rounding up your taxi fare or leaving a small tip for excellent service is a nice gesture. Again, on tours, if you go on a tour, leaving a tip is a nice gesture. £5, £10 note is usually kind of expected, not expected, but is a nice thing to do. So tip 10, savour London's culinary and cultural delights. Now, people, I know when you visit in London, I bet you're thinking, well, I'm not sure about food. British food does not have a great reputation, does it? I remember doing a tour about a year and a half ago of Borough Market with walks, actually, Devour tour it was. And at the beginning of the tour, everybody was asked what did they think about British food before they arrived. And the most common answer was beige. Beige, everything is beige. But actually, in London, you will get traditional British fare, but you also get global cuisine as well. It's just a paradise, honestly, for food lovers and culture seekers. Really, there's some real must-try experiences. And I know everybody wants to do fish and chips. So have some fish and chips in a traditional pub. Have a Sunday roast, honestly. And, if you're going to go into a pub, they're not just about food. This is also a cultural hub steeped in history and tradition. Pubs are just a way of life for us. If you're unsure where to start, we have a London pub guide, which is packed with recommendations for atmospheric spots where you can indulge in having some fish and chips in a lovely pub or some pub grub in a London pub. Now, afternoon tea, again, is something we highly recommend. So whether you want to go to the Ritz, you want to go to Fortnum Mason, or you want to find somewhere in, quirky charm of Covent Garden, there's an afternoon tea that will suit everybody. You get traditional afternoon teas, you get themed afternoon teas. Honestly, there are so many to choose from. It's crazy. So we do have an afternoon tea guide, which I will link to again in the show notes, so you can check out which ones you may want to book. Borough Market, again, very popular. So this honestly is a paradise for foodies. You've got everything from artisan cheeses, freshly baked breads, exotic street food. Just wander around, sample the flavors, discover a world of culinary delights all in one place, and do a food tour. Honestly, I did a food tour with Devour and loved it. And we actually have an entire episode of the podcast, which I did last year, which was all about visiting Borough Market on a food tour. So I'd look up that episode. I'll link to that in the show notes because we had a wonderful time. And I'm just going to also mention one of our favourite ways to experience the city's history and culture is through the pubs, like I've mentioned, going to try some pub food, having some fish and chips. Now, for an unforgettable experience, we highly recommend the London Historic Pubs and Food Tour, which I took with Devour. I think it's a year and a half ago. I went with my friend Terry, and she's still talking about that tour. She absolutely loved it. She's British. She loved it. It wasn't just about trying some of the traditional British dishes, because we did. We had Scotch eggs, and we had, I'm trying to think what we had. We tried some beer. We had some pork pies. It was brilliant. But one of the best things about it is that we actually visited some of London's oldest and most atmospheric and historic pubs. You'll learn about pub culture and some of the fascinating stories between some of these establishments. Honestly, it was amazing. So I'd highly recommend that tour. Honestly, it's one of my favourite all-time tours I've done anywhere. I love food tours, and food tours are like my favourite. But that particular tour, and Sophie, who was our tour guide, it's still in our memories. And that was 18 months ago that we did that tour. So, whether you indulge in a fish and chips, exploring Borough Market, or taking a historic pub tour, London's culinary and cultural delights honestly will leave you with lasting memories and a deeper appreciation of the city's heritage as well. You'll find out why Oyster cards are called Oyster cards as well if you do that tour of Borough Market, because you do get to try some oysters, but you will find out exactly why the card that we use to pay for the tube is called an Oyster card. But enjoy it. Let me know how you got on, and let me know what you enjoyed the most. So tip 11 is prepare for the weather. I'm going to give some packing hints and tips here. Now, London's weather is famously unpredictable. So being prepared for all eventualities, honestly, is a key to enjoying your trip. Whether you're visiting the height of summer, on the depths of winter, having the right wardrobe and essentials will ensure you are comfortable and ready for whatever the British skies throw your way. Now, here's some essential packing tips. Layer up. The weather can change dramatically throughout the day. It can start cold, then it can be warm in the afternoon. I know in the winter, when I've been going out to see some of the Christmas lights, you go into some of the shops and the shops are absolutely red hot. You go on the tube, it's really, really hot. So you need layers, so you can add layers on, take layers off. Now, also be ready for possibility of rain, regardless of the season. I have a lightweight waterproof jacket that I take with me everywhere, and that folds up and I put it in my day bag. I'd highly recommend that. Another essential tip, honestly, comfortable shoes. You are going to be doing a lot of walking. Really, London is a city best explored on your feet. You're going to be doing walking. So make sure that you've got comfortable walking shoes. So break them in before you arrive. Don't just buy a new pair and then arrive in London, because it can expect some blisters. If you're visiting in London, waterproof boots are a great option. In summer, I know I wear sandals, but maybe trainers or sneakers are also a good idea. Now, in summer, actually, London can be incredibly, incredibly hot. I will also mention here as well, just when you're thinking about accommodation, a lot of hotels in London do not have air conditioning. So if that is important to you, make sure that you find a hotel that does have aircon, because it can get very hot and very stifling and very still in London in the summer. So make sure you've got sunglasses, a hat, Make sure that, honestly, that you keep cool and hydrated. So have a reusable water bottle with you at all times. In the winter, warm coat, scarf, gloves, hat, even thermal layers if you feel the cold easily. Now, I always carry a small day bag with everything in it. With my fold up raincoat, I have a water bottle in there, sunscreen for summer, but my hand warmers for winter. I don't know what I did before hand warmers. Now, for detailed advice tailored to each season, honestly, check out our London packing guide. We've got everything in there that you need to know. We've got wardrobe essentials, we've got useful gadgets that we recommend, but that guide will ensure you're fully prepared for London's changing weather and really enjoy your trip in comfort and style. We've also got an excellent episode of the podcast. I think it's episode 101, where I chat with Alison about her packing for her trip to London, and lots of hints and tips in that particular very popular episode. So last tip is to use all our resources. So we have created over the last few years an extensive collection of resources to make your London trip stress-free. We've got articles on planning every aspect of your trip on londontravelplanning.com. We have podcast episodes with insider tips and expert advice from myself and Doug and other guests. And we have our Facebook groups where you can connect with fellow travellers, and we have got a London Travel Planning free Facebook group, so pop over and join that. Now, by sticking with us, you'll avoid the overwhelm of contradictory advice and enjoy, honestly, we promise, a more streamlined planning experience. So that wraps up our 12 essential tips for planning your trip to London in 2025. Don't forget to check out our website, blog articles, podcast episodes for even more guidance. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, consider booking a one-to-one itinerary consultation with Doug and me for some tailored advice and personalised recommendations. Now, thank you for tuning in to episode 132 of the UK Travel Planner Podcast. Until next time, as always, happy UK and London travel planning. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the UK Travel Planning Podcast. As always, show notes can be found at uktravelplanning.com. If you've enjoyed the show, why not leave us feedback via text or a review on your favourite podcast app? We love to hear from you, and you never know, you may receive a shout out in a future episode. But as always, that just leaves me to say, until next week, happy UK travel planning.